athletes and fans of bodybuilding. Tarek Elgindi with the Mr. Olympia. Today, we have the Mr. Olympia, the 2023 Mr. Olympia. His name is and forever will be on the Sandow with the likes of Lee Haney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dorian Yates, Phil Heath, Jay Cutler. He's also the only man in the history of bodybuilding to win the Olympia in two categories, the 212 and the open bodybuilding. This man also has the title of Mr. USA. His name is Derek Lunsford. Welcome, Derek. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Actually, let me rephrase that. Welcome, Mr. Olympia. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I love hearing that, man. And hey, listen, take it back to the Mr. USA days. I keep that title close to my heart. I love it. Mr. USA, 212 Mr. O, and new Mr. Olympia.
And with me, my co-host, he is the master of ceremony of the Mr. Olympia of the Arnold Classic. He's the athlete's representative, and he's also Mr. USA's 2000, Bob Chick. Bob, how are you?
What's up, Tarek? And what's up, fellow Mr. USA? And
that's right.
And those two words you always wanted to hear, bro. We talked about it all year. You finally got to hear it.
Finally, we're just hoping it changes to "and still."
Yeah, still two words, but two very important words.
That's right.
But bro, congratulations! Last time we talked was center stage at the Olympia in front of thousands and thousands of bodybuilding fans, and history was made forever, as Tarek mentioned. How's it feel when he rattles off that impressive list of former Olympia champions, and there's your name, which will forever be on that Sandow trophy, man?
It's crazy, man. Yeah, the last time we talked was on stage, and I think I just kept saying, Bob, I don't know what to say. I'm in shock right now. But
bro, it was so exciting to just the elation that you literally didn't know what to do. Like, you were kind of beside yourself in shock of, oh my God, I just won the Olympia. Like, it had to be the coolest moment of your life.
Yeah, usually I have something to say, but at that time I'm just like, what just happened? Oh my gosh. But no, I've had a few weeks for it to kind of settle in a little bit more. Stayed very busy, but man, I think about what Dan Solomon said, as soon as he come out, first thing he said was, your life will never be the same. And I can tell you, winning the Mr. Olympia title, I'm just a few weeks now, I'm noticing that to be very true, is that that Mr. Olympia title, as prestigious as we all know that it is, I can tell you firsthand that my life will never be the same. And anyone who wins that title, it's very special.
Derek, I don't want to sound repetitive, but at some point, the new Sandow will come out, and your name is going to be on it. And it's going to be Lunsford. Yeah. And on that Sandow, there's going to be another last name, Schwarzenegger. There's going to be another last name, Haney. There's going to be another last name, Cutler, Heath, and all those guys. When did it hit you that your name is forever on that Sandow with Larry Scott and Serge Oliva? When did it really impacted you that you are now in the history books?
Man, I don't know. Like, I think, like I said, as soon as my name was called as the new Mr. Olympia, man, I was in shock. I knew that if my name was called, this was really something special, because not only was I becoming the next Mr. Olympia, but this is history. This is the first time that anyone's ever been a two-division Olympia champion. And that's something that I'm trying to let soak in and realize. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still Derek Lunsford. Like, that's never that my name, who I am at heart, that's never going to change. But now to have that title behind my name, it's like, man, I look at each one of the Mr. Olympias that come before me, and they all have impacted me in a certain way. Like, I look at Larry Scott, he's the OG, right? He's the first one that kickstarted us all off. But then you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, who, I consider as like the pioneer of bodybuilding. And then you go to like Lee Haney, for example, and he had 8 title run, amazing ambassador, another good Christian Mr. Olympia. I would say if you were to skip to like Dorian Yates, he had a strong impact on bodybuilding. Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath. Those are the guys I would kind of consider, like the Mount Rushmore of bodybuilding, in my opinion. And each one of them brought something different to the Mr. Olympia. And I'm not just talking about like physique. I'm talking about personality, character, professionalism. There's just so much that I look at each one of them and I'm like, I take bits and pieces. I'm like, I want to implement that into who I am as a person, as a professional. And so to be among the greats, man, what an honor. Like, what could I really say, man? I mean, you're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, you're talking about Ronnie Coleman, Lee Haney, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath. I mean, these are names that that inspired me to become a bodybuilder in the first place, and now to be Mr. Olympia alongside them. I mean, what greater honor could there be?
Well, Derek, take me back a little bit this year. Last year, if we go back that far, you were second place in your inaugural Mr. Olympia, which was absolutely fantastic. So you knew you were obviously a front runner. And then your buddy Samson Dauda goes and wins the Arnold, and he becomes a front runner. So both of you were in kind of co-status, in my opinion, throughout the year. And those are probably the two names that you heard the most leading up. And you actually got a chance to train hand in hand with Hadi, who you knew was probably your competition, and it could possibly come down to both of you. So take me back to the prejudging. You're backstage, you're kind of sizing everybody up, of course, as everybody does. And you see Hadi backstage, you see Samson backstage. I know obviously you're focusing on yourself at that point, but obviously you got an eye out kind of looking around at the competition. What did you think at that point of, okay, we got ourselves a battle here, and who did you think was the bigger competition?
I still felt that Hadi was the one that was going to challenge the most. He and I, Samson, man, he looks amazing. We each of those guys in the top 5, or even I'll say top 10. Everybody's bringing something special, something unique and individual to the stage. So you can't take anyone lightly whatsoever. But I did believe that Hadi was going to be the one that was the most challenging. I knew that his razor sharp conditioning, especially from the front, was something that was going to challenge my razor sharp conditioning from the back. And so that's what we saw come Friday, Saturday night. Like I said, I mean, Samson looks great, but I felt that it was a strong 1-2 going into prejudging.
Now, Derek, I had a chance to judge the Mr. Olympia in 2022, and I had the chance to judge the Mr. Olympia in 2023. In 2022, I voted for Hadi Choopan to be Mr. Olympia at prejudging and at finals. And then in 2023, I voted for you to be Mr. Olympia at prejudging and at finals. I believe there was tremendous improvement on your physique, especially on the side poses. And one of the things that really caught my attention as a judge was your improvement on the separation between hamstrings and glutes, on the side chest and side triceps. You became a more complete bodybuilder. We knew that your back double biceps was going to be there. We knew your back lat spread was going to be there. But I thought your biggest improvement was from the side. Talk to me about what did you do specifically to make those two poses the most improved poses of your 2023 performance?
Well, I took the feedback from you and the rest of the judges from last year. Everybody was saying that I needed to bring up my legs and my chest. And so that's what we really hammered all year long. From time I got off stage last year to this time, I was like, look, I really got to focus on bringing up my chest, bringing up my quads. And, I believe we did that. And I think by being able to add on that extra few pounds of muscle tissue, I was able to in another year of training and maturity, I was actually able to come down even better conditioning, which exposed that extra muscle that I had put on for the last 2 years to be able to come in a little harder, a little bit sharper. And especially like you were saying, from the back and especially from the side, you could see the detail coming through a lot better in the glute, ham separation, all that, even like the quads, you can see the feathering better. So Yeah, I mean, the same thing is going to happen this year. Is I'm going to continue to focus on those body parts to come back better and season the muscle. It's something Hani and I talked about in privately, but also in one of our recent podcasts that we did on his channel. Was that every year we're going to have more seasoned, denser muscle tissue. So we're just going to keep hammering those same areas and keep bringing out that detail for next year.
Derek, an interesting premise that's been kicked around. Personally, I thought, much like Tarek, that you were going to be dominant from the back. Hadi was dominant from the front. The side you can almost split in half. Again, he's very good from the side. You improved immensely from the side. Mm-hmm. So to me, it almost came down to some things that are rarely talked about, but certainly go into the mix, which was symmetry, proportion, and shape, and presentation, which I thought yours was clearly better. As Hadi, I didn't feel as though presented as well as he could have. For those that don't believe that the presentation portion, the posing routine, whatever you want to call it, is counted, it may not be scored, but it is judged, and that I thought might have been the deciding factor. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, I know there's judging criteria in bodybuilding. That's obvious. So, the mandatory poses and the quarter turns are what we're being judged on. I would say, bringing energy to the stage definitely says something about, because that's part of the presentation. So I think when you're bringing that energy to the stage and you're carrying it through not just the quarter turns and the mandatory poses side by side, but you're doing it through your posing routine and doing it from Friday, from the first time you step on stage to whenever you're receiving the awards on Saturday at finals. I think it's very important that you carry yourself on and off stage as a professional. And so I think, yeah, I mean, lighting up the stage and the crowd with your energy is super important. And I think it does have some sort of subconscious effect on how not just the judges perceive you, but everyone. I mean, they're like, that guy right there, that's the one that is catching my attention the most. But at the end of the day, I believe that the mandatory poses are the mandatory poses, and those are the ones that are truly being judged. But there may be a level of excitement when you see someone come out and you're like, man, that guy's really owning the stage.
So I'm guessing your advice is to the younger generation out there, all the competitors that are watching right now, would be don't slack on your posing presentation, because that could certainly be the difference between winning and losing.
Well, I mean, the way I see it is, look, we put ourselves through weeks and months of a grind to come into our best condition after years and years of packing on the muscle tissue. I mean, don't you want to present your best anyway, just for yourself alone? So whether it be to get that Mr. Olympia title and sway the judges, or whether it be just to, make yourself proud and present your best, either way you look at it, whatever motivating factor that there is, I think you should want to bring your best and do it from start to finish. So yeah, I think definitely, like you have put in the weeks and months to grind to come in shape. It's your time to own the stage. So yeah, that's my 2 cents to the rest of the competitors.
We're gonna go eventually to some of the poses I have here. By the way, you can still get the pay-per-view. If you haven't watched the entire event, go back to olympiaproductions.com. You still can get the pay-per-view. For you guys that are fans of bodybuilding and need to dissect every single category, I want you to go to olympiaproductions.com and get your pay-per-view. But Derek, before we go into the poses, I want to talk to you about check-ins. It's one of the most interesting things in bodybuilding is the check-ins. And I remember you at the check-ins as an amateur at the USA's. I remember when you won the 212. I remember when you took fourth at the 212. I remember when you took second at the Olympia at check-ins. And you've always been one of the most friendly, extroverted characters at check-ins. You always laughing, joking. You have a big smile on your face. However, at the 2023 Mr. Olympia at the check-ins, you were different. It seems like you were a bit more serious, a bit more focused. There was something different about Derek Lunsford at check-ins. What happened? What was going on through your mind, because you were different at that check-ins?
Well, I told my wife, I was like, babe, I want it. I want it so bad this year. She goes, I know, I can tell there's something different this year about you. So definitely, I was laser focused all year long to come back. I wanted to make history. I wanted this more than any other year that I've ever competed. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely there to have fun, you know, to enjoy the moment, because I think it's important that we all enjoy the moment, but I didn't forget about the mission. I didn't forget about the goal, and the goal was to be Mr. Olympia. So yeah, I was definitely a lot more focused this year from start to finish than I've ever been. That's a fact. Yeah.
So Derek, this even though you were able to train with your counterpart, your brother in iron and teammate, as it would be, as you're both trained by the great Hani Rambod, who has more Olympia titles than anybody technically. It didn't come without its fair share of controversy, as the internet lit up afterwards, as Hadi would leave the platform early, taking off his medal, and kind of in and I would say a quick departure. As I was trying to goad him back to take more pictures, he seemed to want to get out of there. But I'm sure you had a chance to kind of catch up with Hadi about that whole situation. How did that unfold? And you know, I assume you guys had a conversation about that.
Well, yeah. So immediately after, I was in shock myself. Of
Yes,
I
sir.
was on a high, and he was, not so happy with the outcome. So we kind of that night did our own thing. But the next morning, we knew we had photo shoots together. So Hani and I, we all got together to do photo shoots for Evogen, and all was good. Nothing really was any different. He come up, he hugged me once again the next day. He even sent me a private message saying like, oh, next year at the Olympia, you'll have your daughter and Uncle Hadi will be here to, whatever. So all is good. I mean, nothing's personal whatsoever. And I truthfully, there was a lot of people that thought I took it personally that he disrespected me on stage. I never for 1 second thought he was disrespecting me. Because if you go back and look, he gave me a hug, and he, congratulated me
Yep.
for winning. So I didn't think it was a direct thing at me. I thought it was more a reflection on how he was feeling about the whole situation himself. So for him not to stick around and take the photos, that was his decision. I mean, I can only imagine the feelings that he was feeling, because I've been there. Like I've
Right.
been there where I took second, and it sucks. I mean, there's been times where I took second, and it really, really was a kick in the stomach for me. I mean, it lasted
Well,
a
you've taken
long, long time.
fourth. You've taken fourth. That must be even worse.
Yeah, it was pretty disheartening, to say the least. I mean, devastating might be the right word. I don't know. Either way, it was an outcome that neither one of us were looking, forward to. Whenever we're there to win, right? So when
Sure.
I'm placing second or placing fourth, I know how that feeling feels. So I can relate to him in that way, and I have sympathy for him in that way. But I probably would have stuck around and taken the extra pictures. But again, when you're in the heat of the moment, like, and you're just wanting to go be away. You want to be by yourself, collect your thoughts, and just it probably felt a bit embarrassing in a way. Not because he should have hung his head. I mean, you're second in the world, you're top two, you're already a reigning Mr. Olympia. Like, you're top two in the world. That's amazing. But
I thought the people were out there were a little harsh with
mhm,
that. Listen, it wasn't his best moment, like you say. He probably got just caught up in the moment of emotions. Listen, there's a lot of
mhm,
emotions going on at that point, good and bad.
yeah,
But I thought the people jumped on him a little bit. It's like, look, it's not that big of a thing. I mean, it
yeah,
wasn't a great sportsmanship moment. By the same
mhm,
token, it's not like he started throwing his medal around and acting like a fool. So he just, like you said, he wanted to get off that stage at that point, and that was his choice. But
yeah.
let's not, the calls for him to be suspended and all this, that people are getting little bit carried away with that, folks.
Yeah,
No, it's
well,
silly.
Bob, I think Hadi is a great champion. He won the Mr. Olympia in 2022. I have a great relationship with him. I call him the Big Azizam. I have a great relationship with the Iranian fans. I think they're the most passionate fans. I even tell the Iranian fans, they're more passionate than the Brazilian fans.
Oh yeah.
Hadi's a great champion.
You're gonna start a fight between Brazil
and the dinosaurs are coming. The dinosaurs are
coming. I'm waiting to see what emojis they start sending. But
I think this is a great lesson for Hadi because there was a little bit of backlash. And I think next Mr. Olympia, whether he wins or he takes second, third, whatever the result is, I think he'll stay for the pictures regardless of the result. And I think every other competitor is learning from this experience, saying, hey, no matter how devastating the moment is, you have to stay for the pictures. Derek Lunsford stayed last year. Hadi should have stayed this year. But we live and learn. Hadi is a great champion. He's been a great ambassador for the sport. Millions of international competitors now know that they can be Mr. Olympia because of Hadi Choopan. But this is an opportunity for us to learn that, you know, sportsmanship is from the beginning to the end. And I think Hadi knows full well that, hey, maybe I should have stayed for a few more pictures, and next year I'll do better. And like all of us, you know, I've made mistakes. Derek has made mistakes. You have made mistakes. We learn from it. He's a great champion, a great representative, and we move forward. Now, Derek, I have a question for you, because being Mr. Olympia is not only about the good times. Now people are looking at you and saying, this guy is on top of the world. But I want you to talk to us a little bit about some of the adversities. And I remember you turned pro, you won the Mr. USAs, the entire world was on your side. You go to Tampa, you win your qualification, you go against Flex Lewis, you take second, you're the next one in line. In a few years, you actually turn a performance that was not so good, and you were fourth at the 212. Was that the most devastating moment in Derek Lunsford's career?
I would say, actually, believe it or not, the 2019 Olympia, when I placed second, was probably the most devastating one for me, because I was so certain that I was coming back, that I had already had it in the bag. I'm the man, you know, I'm coming in. I'm just going to come win it this year. You know, I show up and I win. And then whenever I show up and I didn't, and I placed second, like, I didn't know what to think. I'm like, how did this just happen? Like, you know, you envision it all year long that you are the champion, and then it doesn't unfold that way. So 2019 was the hardest one for me, which led me into the 2020 year, where then the world was crazy. You know, we had the pandemic and whatnot. My own life felt like it was unraveling before me. And it was the hardest year of my life. So actually, believe it or not, the 2020 prep, where I came back and I placed fourth, I put my heart and soul into that prep, just like I did every other year. And I knew I wasn't showing up at my best. I was actually a bit embarrassed to be on stage. That was the first time I actually could say that I was truly embarrassed to show my physique, because I knew I was way off that year, even though I really grinded hard. So whenever I was called fourth, and then the finals, it was all over with, it was actually a relief off of me, because I was in such a depression that year that, you know, this is another conversation, another topic. We can talk about it. We don't have to, but I was in such a depression that year that I didn't even really want to be here anymore, to be quite honest. That was when I really found God, and I really leaned on him. And so I knew that the finish line for me from this depression, I'm going to move forward, I'm going to have a more positive outlook on life, was the 2020 Olympia finals. I promised myself that when I stepped off stage, that I was going to have a more positive outlook, and good things were coming in the future, regardless of where I placed. So I placed fourth. It sucked. It was another kick in the stomach. It was not what I was looking forward to, but I had true belief that moving forward from that 2020 Olympia year, I knew things were going to turn around and get better. What's crazy, I didn't know how fast this was going to happen, but the very next night, I believe it was you, Tarek, that introduced me to Hani Rambod, and that's when we started our conversation. So how crazy is that?
So I was going to say, Derek, from depression to a moment of clarity that might have set your path forward. Do you owe this all to basically an impromptu guest posing in Pittsburgh? I mean, because that seemed to be like if there was a beacon that just seemed to shine down upon you, it was that moment when you weren't even really on the roster to be up there. But as Big Ramy didn't make it into the States that day, you were in some decent shape. You said, come on, I'll go up there. And holy crap, the internet exploded with, this guy can beat these guys.
That was definitely 1000% a pivotal moment in my career for sure. So Hani said, hey, I'm having a booth up here at the Pittsburgh Pro. I'd like you to be here. I told him, I was like, actually, I've always wanted to go to the Pittsburgh Pro. I was like, actually told him, I said, I see these guys guest posing every year. I've never guest posed at the Pittsburgh Pro. I'd be honored if I ever got to. So he's like, well, just come up here and be at the booth, whatever. So he had me there at the booth, and he said, just be prepared in case Jim asked if he wants you on stage, because you're a 212er, but he has the open guys. So just be prepared if don't be totally out of shape. I'm like, look, I'm not going to be totally out of shape.
Wow.
So it was funny because the night before, I was walking down the hall and Jim hollers at me and he says, hey, Derek. I said, hey, Jim, how you doing? He said, hey, you want to get on stage tomorrow? Ramy's not showing up. Do you want to get on stage? And I said, well, sure, I guess I can. I mean, I'd be honored. So I did. And from then, that's when the internet went crazy and said, open, open, open. And so the rest is history. Yeah.
Well, I was not there, unfortunately, but Chris Cormier was there. And Chris said to me, Tarek, if this guy does not want to go to the open, I will force him to go to the open. I know bodybuilding, he should be in the open. Well, that's, going back to perseverance, right? Bob, a lot of people look at Mr. Olympias like Jay Cutler, Phil Heath. People don't know that Phil Heath took 2 second places, real hard second places, to Kai Green at the Arnold, right? And then you look at Jay Cutler and his perseverance. Hadi Choopan, he took very hard third places. And then Derek, he had so many adversities. And if we can say one thing about Mr. Olympias, is that they never give up, right? They never give up.
Well,
and
listen, to your credit, I mean, there was guys named like Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler who were basically dead last in their first Olympias. So, listen, getting to the pro level is one thing. Climbing that whole ladder to get to the top is a whole nother thing. But it literally introduces to a whole new level of, okay, now I know what I've got to do. And just when you think you've been training as hard as you can and you're putting everything into it, you find out, no, there's a whole nother level here I haven't even explored yet. And Derek, obviously you got to that point, not once, but twice, which is really impressive, as you mentioned, and as we have mentioned on stage. History truly in the making, as you're the only person in bodybuilding history to do this in 2 different classes in the men's division. So congratulations for that once again, bro. You talk about an overwhelming night, and to boot, just because you needed something more that night, the People's Champ.
Crazy, man! What an honor, man. I mean, to be chosen by the fans and the people there to be their champion. I mean, what an honor that is. That's why I was telling Steve Weinberger when I was up in New York at Bev's gym and I was at his show. To be Mr. Olympia is one thing. To make history and be the first 2 division champion is another, and then to also be the people's champ and be well received by everyone as like, this is our guy. Like, I mean, how much better can it get than that? And like, just knowing I have so many people's support behind me is such a good feeling. Like, it makes it. I was telling him I would not ever want to be like a lonely champion, like coming in, winning Mr. Olympia. Yeah, it's great. But like I said, to have the support of the people is what truly makes it special for me, makes it very personal for me. And so, when people are rooting for other Olympians, so to speak, look, I love that too, because that's what helps grow our sport. And I think it's only right. Whenever I was coming up, I had my favorite bodybuilders that I wanted to see win. But, I was so blinded from any of the negativity, the controversy. by so much of the love and support that I was getting. Like all that overshadowed any of the negative stuff. Cause I would have people reach out to me, hey, sorry, you're getting some of these comments. I'm like, listen, look, I'm as happy as I could be. There's so much support and so much love that I'm receiving that I don't even see this other stuff. So nah, to be the people's champion definitely is super, super special to me, 100%.
Well, you're a very well liked guy, but I had a chance to speak with Nick Walker, and unfortunately, all of us I struggled on Tuesday when I heard the news. Nick Walker was not competing. Man, I was sad, but I had a chance to talk to him at Meet the Olympians, and I said, Nick, I want to bring you in for Olympia battle, just like I did with Derek Lunsford and Samson Dauda. And he said, Derek, I only do it if it's against Derek. So right here, right here, Derek, publicly, Olympia battle 2024. I might bring another bodybuilder to the mix, but if Nick Walker wants you an Olympia battle in Phoenix, are you ready to take him down?
Hey, I'm taking on the world, baby. I'm taking on the world. Let's go.
Listen, I gotta be honest.
I love Nick. I love Nick. He's a hard worker, man, and I love his passion for bodybuilding. And so, of course, man, you can count me in 100%.
I got to be honest. I love Nick too because he's a refreshing flavor in this game of stale personalities and such. And you guys got two of the best ones out there, totally different from each other, which is even better. But Nick was pretty adamant. He thought if he was in the show or able to compete in the show, I should say, bringing what he thought has been his best, that he actually would have won and beaten you. We all got our own opinions. I said initially, I think if Nick was in the show and what he was bringing, in my opinion, he would have been fourth. I don't think he probably liked that too much. But where do you? I mean, it's obviously a hypothetical, Derek. But where do you think Nick would have been in the mix? I mean, that's a tough top three to be cracking.
Bob, you're trying to get me in trouble. I see Derek's face over here.
No, we would never do that to you, Derek. Come on, man. You know me better than that.
Hey, man, who knows, right? Like, I mean, I definitely think he was bringing it. Don't get me wrong. I think he was definitely bringing it to the Olympia this year. I think he would have been much improved from the Arnold. If it was me, I think it would have been a really good battle between him and Samson. I think honestly, he probably could have slid into that third place spot.
That's fair. I think that's a very fair take. I mean, I know you're as much a fan as you are Mr. Olympia, so I know you watch it just as we do. But I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. Derek, I want to go into some of the poses. This is the moment. This is the final call out. Head judge Steve Weinberger says Derek Lunsford in the middle. The crowd goes crazy. You're thinking to yourself, this is not only history. This is $400,000. This is me telling are you having a boy or a girl? Do you know?
We have a girl coming in like a few weeks.
So you're like, this is me telling my daughter when she's born, I am Mr. Olympia. So what is going on in your mind in this last moment, in the last call out, when Steve Weinberger says Derek Lunsford in the center?
I was thinking this is it. I just believe, I was like, this is most likely going to be the last chance, the last opportunity I have to showcase my physique as the Mr. Olympia and prove myself right next to these other great champions. So I was like, look, all these weeks, all these months, all these years that I've spent in the gym, on the grind, comes down to this moment. And look, I'm over here sacrificing. I'm over here grinding and putting in, 100% effort each and every day. But I have so much support behind me too. I have my wife here supporting me every day and pushing me. I have, my coach, Honey Rambod. I have so many people supporting me that if I'm not even going to do it for myself, I got to do it for them too. I got to do it for my wife, my child, all the people that are supporting me and that believe in me. So yes, I'm going to do it for myself, but I'm also going to do it for everyone else who supports me. I cannot quit. I got to keep posing and make it look like this is their first round of posing. I can't break. I have to keep making sure that I'm staying tight. I'm controlling every muscle in my body and no quit till the end. I mean, I literally, truthfully, I believe this was the last opportunity for me to showcase my physique. This was probably going to be the last round of posing. But if it wasn't, I could have went for probably 5 more rounds. Really, I was ready to go. I mean, I was not going to quit until it was all said and done.
Well, you were certainly hyped up and ready for the challenge. All three of you were. You could see the immense size of Samson. I mean, he is just huge out there along. You had some big boys up there with Samson and Andrew Jack and the rest of these guys. But who do you see as the biggest threat as you look at these guys for next year? And I know everybody's a threat. We all know the cliche answers, but is there anybody that you look at, be it Samson or Jack or Nick or anybody, that you go, if that guy ever gets everything together, he's a problem?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see, Nick and Samson, Andrew, the guys you just mentioned. Let's not forget about Brandon Curry. Okay, he's a former Mr. Olympia too. He placed 4th. He looked great again this year. So, as I mentioned earlier, I do believe that it was a strong 1-2 placing between me and Hottie. But like I said, you got Nick and Samson, Andrew. These guys are making strong improvements every year. Who knows what we bring show to show. I know I'm making improvements, but I still see, Hottie and I rivaling next year.
Derek, I got to interject real quick because I noticed as we're watching the film here, and I don't know if anybody's noticed this, but when they call for you guys to go to the back, you always start clapping your hands like, because you got these guys from the back.
Yeah, I'm ready to get into those poses, man. I'm hoping that they let us hold it for a little bit longer on those back shots.
Right. Yeah, you could.
Bob, I want to bring attention because, as a judge, you have approximately 6 to 7 seconds to make a very important decision. And one of the things that Derek Lunsford really, really improved was the side poses.
Absolutely.
And he was the first one to hit the poses. And you can clearly see here on a side triceps that he clearly wins this pose. So a lot of people talking about, well, Derek from the back, Hottie from the front. And I do think Hottie Chupin was superior, especially on the most muscular and abs and thighs. But Derek Lunsford convincingly wins the side chest, the side triceps, the back lat spread, the back double biceps. And I do believe he wins the front double biceps. I gave the front lat spread to Hottie Chupin, but I thought Derek Lunsford made tremendous improvement on the side poses. And I think he deserves a lot of credit on that. I'm not going to give you credit on the back double biceps. You've had that since you were 5 years old. Okay, Derek?
Right.
I'm going to give you credit on the side triceps and side chest. That's where Derek changed the game.
Derek, you're dead on the money, of course. I firmly believe, Derek, and listen, you did your homework and you were justly rewarded for it. It was so close between you and Hottie. Again, him from the front, you from the back, that it literally came down to the side poses and those other things we talk about, in my opinion. You got a little bit better X-frame. Your waist is a little smaller, makes you give a great-looking physique in terms of symmetry, proportion, shape. If you don't improve in those side poses as you did this year, I think this title probably goes back to Hottie again this year. So I think you've really focusing on those particular poses and not just in the physique, but in the presentation of the physique. And I thought that's where you want it.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I said earlier was like bringing that energy to the stage. Look, I love this. I want to say more than anyone, man. You said it earlier. I'm as much of a fan as I am Mr. Olympia. So
look at that shot right now, man. Could you go back to that, Derek? I don't know if you can. That standing shot where they're just like that shot right there.
Hold on.
I mean, your waist is so small, bro. I'm telling you that this is the key. And again, for all those up and coming bodybuilders, you can see it's coming up right here, guys. I don't know if you can freeze this, but as soon as they go into their front stance, right there. Now, for anybody that's watching at home right here, look at Derek's waist. Look at that X frame. Again, a little bit smaller than Hottie's, a little bit more proportional and shapely and symmetrical. That's the difference right there, man. Those are your building blocks of bodybuilding when it comes to competitive bodybuilding, especially at this level. Symmetry, shape, and proportion. cannot be underrated. And that to me, again, was the final, like, okay, who's going to win this? You can flip a coin, that type of thing. That's what it reverts back to. Look at that shape right there. Excellent, bro.
I believe that was after 9 meals.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
your
eating
body had to be an
9
inferno at that point.
9 meals a day.
Well, it's like putting logs on a fire at that point. Your metabolism had to be going crazy.
Yeah. I know if I didn't eat every about 2 to 2.5 hours, I was going a little flat. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you. Well, it looks like you and Hani did your homework and you nailed it there. But
hey, he's the guru, the whiz, whatever you want to call it. He knows what he's doing, man. 24 Olympia titles. Can you believe that?
Yeah, talk a little bit about your relationship with Hani, because you're a very dear person to him. You know, Hani when he speaks about you, he really, you know, it looks like he's very close to you. He's very close to Hadi. He has lots of love for you guys. I'm going to say something here that it's almost like he got you guys a little bit younger than when he got Phil Heath and Jay Cutler. So he takes a little bit more of a older brother mentality with you guys. What is your relationship with Hani?
It's exactly like that, and from what I see with him and Hadi and him and Chris, it's very similar. I mean, I think we all have our own relationship with Hani, but I can say he genuinely cares about each person that he works with. And so I couldn't be more thankful. I know he's got my back through and through. But yeah, I mean, it's really unique when you have someone that is coaching you, also helps you in business and helps you financially with your family. But also you have such a personal connection too. Like we talk about a lot of deep personal things, probably just as much or more than we do bodybuilding or business or anything else. So it's been really cool how he and I, like, our relationship has evolved over the last couple years, because truthfully in the beginning it was a little rocky. We weren't really understanding each other that first year. I wasn't understanding him as a coach. He wasn't understanding me as an athlete. And just personally, like, we weren't like 100% clicking, you know, right away. I mean, it wasn't like bad. It just was like a little misunderstanding. And then after a couple years, like, we've really developed a strong relationship together in all aspects. But definitely there's a personal relationship that we have that, you know, I genuinely love that guy, and I know he cares tremendously about me and has my back through and through. So I think everything else fills in and fits a lot easier, the whole coach athlete relationship, when you have a genuine personal relationship with each other. So I don't know, I couldn't be more thankful to be working with him, for real.
Well,
And like
Derek,
I said, I have to thank Tarek, because I think he was the first one that had mentioned. I'd asked him for advices after the 2020 Olympia. I said, hey, what do I need to do to improve? And he suggested that, you know, maybe I talked to Hani, and I said, okay, all right, cool.
Good suggestion, Tarek.
Well, you know, Hani Rambod was my brother's trainer when my brother turned pro at the USA's. So I had a chance to see Hani. But, you know, there are great coaches, Chris Aceto. You know, I often, you know, try to match personalities, New Hill and Chad Nichols. But I thought, you know, Hani and Derek would have been a really good match. And Hani has delivered consistently. Now, in the 2019 Mr. Olympia, I remember your wife sitting in the audience, and she was, I was like, this young lady, her heart's going to come out of her body. She
Right.
lives through you on stage. She gives everything she's got. She screams. And I know she's been with you this whole time. She said, Tarek, I've been screaming like this since he was doing wrestling. And now you guys
She's
are
smiling over here, by the way. She can hear you. She's smiling.
You guys are going to have a new addition. How does it feel to now start forming your little tribe?
Oh, I love it. We went to the mall today. We got our little stroller. It was awesome. I don't know. I'm so excited, man. Like, people ask, like, oh, are you nervous? Are you excited? I said, I'm just excited. I'm not nervous. I cannot wait for this baby girl to be here. baby Evie, Evelyn is her name. So no, it's blessings on blessings this year. I can't even believe it. I mean, with everything that just happened with the Olympia, and then us having this our first child after almost 13 years of being together. I mean, golly, I mean, what
Derek,
more could a man want?
have
You
you
know?
have you been practicing changing diapers?
No,
Okay,
absolutely not.
Derek. The
That's
first
what.
thing I'm gonna tell you, I'm a dad, and I have a little girl, and I have a boy, and they're
Uh-huh.
both potty trained. But after this live, I can do a thorough class on changing diapers.
There you
Okay,
go.
this will be your best friend for the next 2 years. You're gonna have wipes everywhere in your car, in your house. You're gonna have wipes in your gym because, my friend, your life is about to change.
Sounds
Yeah.
like Uncle Tarek needs to come babysit.
Let me give you a little bit of advice just from Uncle Bob here, okay? And
Yeah.
well, you just bought your first stroller. I just bought my little girl her first car, and she just
Oh,
it turned 16. So that's how fast that goes by.
no
And
way.
Derek
Happy
remembers her when
birthday.
she was born. So
Yeah.
yeah, enjoy every bit of it, bro. But one thing I know you're a big fan of, even though you were fighting your own fight at the show, was I want to get your opinion on the new 212 champ, Keon
Yeah.
Pearson.
Wow, I really felt strongly like it was going to come down to those two guys this year. I saw Keon. I mean, we all knew Keon had it. Like we
Yeah.
had the potential, and he finally was bringing it this year. And boy, it was a close battle. Me and my wife were watching it. We're like, "What do you think? What do you think?" And I remember I
Yeah.
remember Jelson saying like, "I think Keon's got it. I don't know. Sean looks good." But yeah, I mean, it's really cool to see those two guys battling it out, similar to me and Hottie, because they're both bringing two different types of physiques as well in the
Sure.
212, and they're raising the bar in that division. So I love it. I believe that all divisions right now, and I mean this when I say this, I believe all divisions are thriving. I believe bodybuilding as a whole is thriving. So it's really cool to see Keon now carrying the torch in the 212, and I believe Sean's going to come back because he wants that title. He's a fighter, man. You can never count that guy. He
Yeah.
he is a dog. He's a fighter, man. So I'm really excited to see Sean pushing Keon next year. For Keon to continue to reach his fullest potential, and I'm really happy for Keon. He and I, as well, Keon and I, but also Sean and I, we would send each other private messages every once in a while throughout the prep, and I felt that Keon was coming into his own this year for sure. So super happy for him and happy for everybody in
And
that division.
Derek, you're in Tampa, and I
Yeah.
know you work out with men's physique competitors. You work out with classic physique competitors, people that are influencers.
Mhm.
You work out with everybody. You embrace all the categories.
Yep.
You know, do you feel, because a lot of guys now, Ryan Terry won the men's physique, Chris Bumstead is the classic physique, and Keon Pearson is the 212. We have Kara Molesky on the wheelchair category. They all look at you as the leader of the pack, right? You
Mhm.
are the Mr. Olympia. You're the only one that can legitimately carry that title.
Mhm.
What do you think is your responsibility, not only representing bodybuilding, but also representing these other categories? Because you've been open about your admiration for the other
Mhm.
categories.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, the Mr. Olympia title is the most prestigious title in all of bodybuilding. There is one Mr. Olympia, and that is the open category. But like you said, I train with everybody. And why is that? I had somebody ask me the other day, why is it that you train with these guys rather than maybe another Olympian or something like that? I said it's because one, personality matters too, right? You have to click with your training partner. But I said it comes down to the people's passion for wanting to be in the gym and train hard and get better. That's it. That is my only criteria for someone that I'm training with. If you have passion for bodybuilding and wanting to be in the gym, train hard, and you want to get better each and every day and make no excuses, I'll train with you. Now, if you're an Olympian and you're not like that, which I don't think any Olympian is, I think Olympians are a special breed. But if you're an IFBB pro and you have those credentials, but you don't want to get better and you're dragging, I'm sorry, I'd rather train by myself. But if you're someone who has never competed before, but you're interested in maybe stepping on stage and you have that heart like I'm talking about, hey man, I love to get a training session with you, because it's not about the weight that you're pushing. It's not about the development of your physique. It's about the character and that energy that you're giving me by each and every rep and every set, with every exercise. When you're putting in that work, it motivates me. So whether you're men's physique, you're classic, you're open bodybuilding, you're any of the women's divisions, if I can feel that energy and that passion from you, it's contagious. And that's why I say there's real camaraderie in this sport. Yes, there's competition, but it doesn't have to be this. Like I said, there's competition on one day, and the outcome is not in your control. So otherwise, I see great camaraderie in this sport, which is why I said, sign me up. If Nick Walker wants to train, let's go, man.
Derek, how many times have you had an opportunity to watch back that moment where that big announcement comes and you're the champ?
Bro, I probably watched it literally 200 or 300 times. I ain't kidding.
That's
I watched
fantastic.
it a lot, man. And I get the same feeling every single time. I'm just like, man, like it just brings me back to that moment of just pure shock and disbelief and excitement, and just, I was just in awe, man. And yeah, it's good.
You know, only two times have I seen. Oh, here we go, right here. Here's some footage. Excellent work, Derek. Look at you, Mr. Producer.
Gentlemen, please take the first place Olympia gold medal.
Man, this guy just drags it out.
My heart's racing.
For $400,000.
He's going to stall. Bob's going to pause. Long pause.
Bill knows all too well.
The Sandow. And the title of 2023 Olympia champion. To our winner. And new Olympia champion.
He did it.
Lunsford.
He did it. Derek Lunsford.
Derek Lunsford.
Made it happen.
Bro, you get chills when you hear that?
Literally, my heart starts pounding. I get like anxiety every time I watch it.
He came in Friday night, guns blazing.
You know, I got to be honest. I've done almost 20 of these now. I've been 20 years at the Olympia doing various things, but the 18 years actually on that stage. And it's just as exciting every time, you know, to be able to be up there to see this history and unfold for a guy like yourself, you know, who worked his way up there, got the title of Olympia champ, and to see the raw emotion that comes out. And, you know, like we talked about on stage, Derek, what was really cool to me was just after you won, nobody left. The whole place was still there, waiting to hear what you had to say, waiting to hear that victory speech and all that. And I thought that was one of the coolest moments. You know, probably an understated moment. I guess you and I are the only ones up there at that point looking at the crowd, but nobody left, bro.
Literally, it was like I said, it was like an ocean of people, because everybody in the front just like rushed the stage, like pushed up all the way to the stage. And they were like on top of each other, like trying to reach out and grab. And then, you know, I was thinking, you know, probably the people in the back were probably exiting at this point, which is just what I expected.
No,
but I realized they all kind of pushed up too, but like the people in the back were standing on chairs with their phones in the air. All of them. It was like a wave in the back of this ocean of people, and it was just unbelievable. And it kind of like in that moment took me back. I was like, wow, I just got the People's Champ Award, and like this proves to me, like right here, right now, that like it's not just an award. It's like really there's people out there, like this many people support you and love you and want to see you succeed. And I'm just like, in that moment, I'm just so grateful, because everybody could have just left. Like you said, like everybody could have just said, okay, congrats, champ. See you later. See you next year. But everybody stayed and was just like, nobody wanted to leave at all. And so like, I don't know, that's just what makes it so personally special to me, is that, yeah, like I've always wanted to be Mr. Olympia and having that title, but then to have the support of everyone is just like, that's what makes it so awesome, man. But yeah, that video, just like every time I watch that video, because I got it on my Instagram, and sometimes I'll just click on it and watch it, and just every time, I'm telling you, Bob, you got to be just a little bit faster for us next time. Listen, my heart starts pounding, and I'm like, come on, and then I just get this like, oh man.
Listen, I used to catch flack from Jim for years before he handed the torch over to Tyler that his arms were about ready to fall off, but I'm sure it seems a lot longer when you're holding it. By the way, where's that Sandow, Derek? You got it. It's got to be close by, bro.
Oh, let's
go. There we go.
go.
By the way, for those who don't know, folks, that thing is heavy.
It's actual bronze. It's actual bronze.
So heavy.
I'm not gonna disclose the actual cost, but this is extremely expensive. It's bronze, and a lot of times, I get a chance to see it prior to the show. Guys,
Right.
you gotta be a big person to carry that, and it's bronze and it's beautiful. So congratulations, Derek Lunsford. You are the 2023 Mr. Olympia. I had the privilege of weighing you when you were at the USA's, and I remember calling the light heavies, and you joined the line, and I had to correct you and say, this is light heavies, not heavyweights. And you said to me, no, I am light heavy. Yeah. On that weekend, you went on to win the light heavy category, and in the overall, you defeated Jacob Wilson, heavyweight champion, and Patrick Morris, super heavyweight. You went on to Tampa to conquer the title, and then I've seen you compete in the 212, and now you are Mr. Olympia. So from an NPC competitor to the Mr. Olympia, your name is on the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lee Haney, Dorian Yates, Phil Heath, and Jay Cutler. I know you're going to be a fantastic representative. You displayed a tremendous physique. The improvement from 2022 to 2023 was incredible. I want to congratulate not only you, but your wife and also your coach and your entire support system. And before we finish this live, I want to give you the final word. You are Mr. Olympia.
Thank you, guys. Well, of course, I want to thank you guys for having me on here today. I want to thank Jake Wood, Dan Solomon, everyone that works behind the scenes at the Mr. Olympia. I, of course, want to thank Jim Mannion, Tyler Mannion, the whole Mannion family, Debbie, and the NPC IFBB Pro League, everybody that contributes to this bodybuilding community. I pray every day for each and every one of us. Like I said on stage, I pray that we become more of a Christ-centered community, and we all become one together, helping each other thrive and succeed. And it's not just about our individual success, but it's all of us collectively growing together, because I want to see this sport grow to higher heights, guys. So again, thank you all for all that you do for us, giving us this platform. I want to thank, of course, Hani Rambod as my coach, also Evogen Nutrition, Gas and Better Bodies, Mega Fit Meals, Pro-Tan, Tough Wraps, CJ's Elite Suits, everyone that supports me in that aspect. Of course, I cannot forget my amazing wife sitting here and our soon-to-be child in a few weeks. They are the backbone to all of this. I could not be where I'm at without her and them. So I want to thank them. Also, everybody out there that supports me on YouTube, Instagram. Obviously we're getting a lot of good feedback on our social media, and it's just fun. It's fun to be able to put out the content that helped motivate and inspire me and give back in that aspect. And then, of course, the comments and all that is just more motivation and encouragement for me to keep putting it out there and keep, wanting to strive to be my best. So again, thank you guys. Appreciate you all. And hopefully we can do this again soon. And if not,
speaking of soon, I can't let you off the hook real quick. Right. Will we see you back on stage where it all began in Pittsburgh? Are we going to get an early Olympia preview with you and Nick and anybody else who wants to challenge you for that title in Pittsburgh?
Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this yet or not.
Yeah, go ahead.
But you know what? I don't think Jim Mannion will mind whatsoever. I will be in Pittsburgh at the Pittsburgh Pro guest posing. 100%.
There we go.
I've already booked my flights, so I'll be there.
Derek, I'm seeing an Olympia live coming right from Pittsburgh, buddy.
Sounds good. I'll be there. This is going to be a great event. We're going to see all the superstars on stage in Pittsburgh. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tarek El-Guindy with the Mr. Olympia, with my co-host, Bob Ciccarillo, and the Mr. Olympia, Derek Lunsford. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen,